Hi guys, my name is Becca and welcome back to my channel. Today I have another recent reads video for you, and we have a lot to talk about. I skipped last week, which, when I was thinking about it, it was a good idea. I wasn't feeling well. I didn't have a whole lot to talk about. But now that, we're at the end of May, I do have a lot to talk about. So we need to get into this video. So first up, I'm just going to talk about the books that I DNF'd or sat down or put down. Technically they're all DNFs. I'm not going to finish these. I'm not going to continue reading them. I wasn't enjoying them, even though a couple of them I only got like a chapter or two in and realized they weren't for me. But first we're going to talk about the one that I talked about a couple weeks ago. Like at the very end of the video, I remembered that I DNF'd this book and I forgot to talk about it. But yeah, Descent of the Crane by Joan He. I have no idea how to pronounce the last name. I really wanted to love this. I really did. And that didn't happen. This is an Asian-inspired fantasy where we follow a princess who, her father has just passed, and she believes he was murdered, and she goes to the soothsayer, which they use, like, they're forbidden to use magic, or, their magic is forbidden, is what I'm trying to say. Can you tell I almost, like, just woke up? Their magic is forbidden, pretty much, and, the princess, Hesina, is not, pretty much allowed to go there and, ask them to use their magic, but she needs the soothsayer's help to figure out if her father truly was murdered or not, and he was. So now, with the help of a, criminal who is put in jail, the princess will figure out who killed her father. There's this whole court aspect, and I mean, like lawyers and a trial aspect. That's what I should say. I didn't care for that. For some reason, it just took me away from the fantasy-ness of it and made it just more modern almost. And I don't know. It's not what I wanted. It's not what I liked. I didn't really care for any of the characters. I wasn't connected to any of them. And I got 150 pages in, and I just felt bored and completely, distant from the story. And, yeah, I DNF'd it. Okay, and that was one of my April Book of the Month picks, which really upset me. But speaking of April Book of the Month, Normal People by Sally Rooney, I got chapter 2 in, and I didn't connect with the writing whatsoever. My brain cannot handle when you don't signify dialogue. I just read it, and then I'm waiting for dialogue, and then I'm like, wait, that sentence was people talking. Wait a minute. And I have to go back and I have to read it over again. And I have to keep doing that. And I can't. I just can't. So yeah, and there's a lot of also I don't know, just the writing in general, I couldn't connect to. I know this is set in Ireland, I believe, and for some reason, I just could not understand a lot of what was being said. And then, yeah, like I said, the lack of signification for dialogue. No thank you. And the last one that I got a chapter or two in and I put down, I felt really bad, and this is very unfortunate, but it happened, and that is Again But Better by Christine Riccio. I love Christine. If you don't know, Christine Riccio is on YouTube, on BookTube, as Poland Bananas Books. And I wanted to like this book because I want to support her, and I love her. Just like with Sasha Osberg and Zenith. I did not enjoy Zenith, and I spent a lot of money on that book, and I went and I had a great time. I met Sasha and Lindsay Cummings. It was great. It really was. But that book was not. And I regretted, spending a lot of money on it. So I didn't want to do it with this book, so I got it from my library. And I'm really glad I did, because I only got a few pages in before realizing that this just wasn't for me. I wasn't liking the writing style, and I just felt like the writing didn't flow well. As I was reading it, I just kept realizing it's just not flowing well, and yeah, I just couldn't keep going. This just wasn't for me. So yeah, it was unfortunate, but what can you do? Alright, so now we can get into the books that I actually completed and finished. That's what completed means, Becca. Oh my god. Yeah, the books that I actually finished, there are quite a lot, because I waited until the last minute to talk about all these books. And I still have to make my May wrap up, but I still, like I said, I still have a couple of days left of May. So I'm going to try and get another book in, and that'll just go into my May wrap up, because I'm not going to make a whole nother video for like one book. But I'm not sure. We will talk about that at the end of the video, though. So the first book that I completed, let's go back to my April book of the month. So, Wicked Saints by Emily A. Duncan. This was my last April book of the month pick, and I was holding out so much hopes, because I was, like, actually reading it, and it was okay. It wasn't great. It was okay, but as the further I was going in, I was just like, no. Oh my god, the sun is, like, literally playing outside. So, okay, this is about two kingdoms. We have Kaliaza and Trinavia. I don't know if I'm saying that right. That's just how I've been saying it in my head. Kaliaza, there are certain people, clerics, who can use holy magic. They can speak to the gods. They worship the gods, obviously, and they speak to the gods, and the gods are able to, let the people use their magic through them. Or the clerics can use the gods' magic through, they can use their magic. And Trinavia has denounced the gods, and they use blood magic. And they see Kaliaza as like heretics, just as Kaliaza see Trinavia as heretics, and so they've been in this massive war for a very long time. Trinavia has pretty much killed off all the clerics, except for Nadia, who is our main character, or one of our main characters, and she is, from what we know, she is the last cleric, and she's being hunted down by the High Prince of Trinavia. And while on the run, she bumps into another Trinavian, and he asks her for her help to kill the king of Trinavia and end this war. He doesn't care for this war whatsoever, and he wants to see it stopped, and he needs her help in order to kill the king. So she ends up going undercover in the palace of Trinavia in order to get closer to the king, in order to kill him. So we follow Nadia, who is one of our main characters, one of our perspectives, and then we also have Seraphine, who is the High Prince of Trinavia, the one who is hunting her down. And I didn't care for this. Like, in the beginning I thought this was okay, but I felt like I wanted a darker story, and I wanted a more brutal story, with more brutal characters, but I didn't get that, and I felt like there was a lot of telling, not showing. And, I mean, there's a lot of Nadia telling us how much she hates Trinavia, and how much she hates the people, and she wants to see them all dead. And then, when it's, like, comes down to it, she's like, oh, hey, no, I can't kill anybody. What? I don't know. I didn't care for that. I didn't care for the romance whatsoever. I thought that just popped up out of nowhere. Again, a lot of, like, telling and not showing, like, they tell us they're in a relationship or not in a relationship, they tell us they like each other. I didn't see any of that. All I saw was them, like, bickering and them, like, going back and forth. I didn't like the romance whatsoever, and yeah, I gave this 2 stars. So, these are all my April Book of the Month picks, and they are all being unhauled. So, in my next unhaul, you will see all of those books. I wasn't happy about that. Okay, another 2-star read was The Novice by Taryn Matheru. This is book 1 in the Summoner series, and I'm not continuing on after this. This follows Fletcher, who finds a demon summoning scroll and summons a demon, and goes to a, like, school to train how to use that demon, how to fight with magic in order to fight in the war against the orcs. There's also dwarves and elves, and I liked the fact that there were, like, orcs and dwarves and elves, and it felt a lot of reminiscent of Lord of the Rings, and I really liked that. And the demons are a lot like Pokemon. I mean, they have, like, levels, and then the summoner can gain levels by using their demon to get other demons. It's this whole thing. And, like, they can gain levels by like, training more and fighting more. So it just felt a lot like Pokemon, which I think is something it was compared to a lot. But I didn't care for any of the characters. I didn't care for anything that was happening. I was bored throughout this entire, like, if I had to say which one was the worst of the month, it would definitely be this one. Like, it was almost this one, but then I read this one. And, yeah, I just didn't care for either of them, and what can you do? At least, you know, it can only get better, right? Next up, I read Red, White, and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston. This book follows, so we are in this, like, alternate world where after Obama, the people of the United States elect a Latinx female president. I was going to say Latinx female main character. No, it's Latinx female president instead of Trump that we got. If only this world, we got to live in this world, because I want to live in this world. And we follow Alex, the first son of the United States, and him and Prince Henry of England don't get along. They don't get along at all. They are, like, sort of feuding, but it's only in Alex's mind. And then they end up, there's this function or something, and they end up, what's that called? They end up, wow, why can't I think? They end up seeing each other, and there's this, like, disaster that happens because of them. And so now they are forced to pretend to be best friends. And, I mean, it could only get funnier from there. So as they're pretending to be best friends, they start to connect more and start to have this, like, you know, relationship. And it's, like, this secret relationship that I absolutely loved. And, yeah, I love this book so much. I gave this 5 stars. This book was amazing. I loved it. It fulfilled everything. It was hilarious. It was sexy. There's a lot of, like, cute moments, and I loved it, and it was amazing. And yeah, I mean, can you tell? Like, all I did was tap. I didn't even annotate. And I'm just like, I want to reread and annotate it now. So yeah, that was a 5-star read. I'm so happy about that. Next up is The Unhoneymooners by Christina Lauren. This, we follow Olive and Ethan, who their siblings are getting married. It's not dogs, it's birds. Like, seriously. Okay. We follow Olive and Ethan, and their siblings are getting married to each other. and Olive and Ethan are the subsequent maid of honor and best man. Um, and Olive and Ethan hate each other. They've hated each other since day one. And during the wedding, the entire wedding party gets sick, save for Olive and Ethan. Um, and Olive and Ethan have to go on the honeymoon that was meant for their siblings, and they have to pretend to be married, and it's hilarious. Um, it's a hate to live trope. It's funny. I mean, it's so good. I did really enjoy this. I didn't enjoy this as much as, what's it called? Like some of their other works. Dating You, Hating You, and Josh and Hazel's Guide to Not Dating are two of my favorite books of theirs. And, I mean, this was still really, really good, and I absolutely loved it. But I didn't care for Olive as much, and I really would have liked to get another perspective, like, to get, Ethan's as well as Olive's would have been really nice, and getting a little bit into his head would have been actually really nice. I think it was hilarious, like, they're definitely witty. Like, Olive and Ethan just have these jabs at each other, and it's so good. But, like, I didn't care for Olive as much as I would have liked to. There were times that she believes she's bad luck. And, I mean, once you read this, you're like, yeah, okay, maybe you are a little bit of bad luck. But I always kept waiting for something bad to happen. Because that's what she is. I mean, if she's bad luck, then there's always something bad's gonna happen. Like something good happens, and I'm like, well, that's gonna get destroyed. I mean, she's bad luck. But I still really enjoyed it. I gave it 4 stars, and I'm happy that I read this. And it's still a Christina Lauren book, and I still absolutely loved it. Okay. Next one. Actually, we're gonna talk about this one. Next up is Finale by Stephanie Garber. This is the 3rd and final book in the Caraval trilogy. I've listened to all of them on audiobook, and I love the audiobooks. They're narrated by Rebecca Soler, and I highly recommend them if you haven't listened to them already. They're fantastic. I can't talk about this book because it is a 3rd in the series. I have read Caraval and Legendary and talked about those in past videos, and I've really enjoyed both of them. I absolutely love this finale. I thought it was a solid ending, a solid conclusion, and, like, everything I want happened, and there were a lot of, like, plot reveals that I didn't see coming until, like, that final moment, and I thought it was fantastic. I really loved it, and I'm glad that I read it. And I definitely want to reread them now physically and annotate, because there were definitely some lines that I was like, yeah, I would like to annotate that. Like, damn, I should have saved those lines. But, yeah, I really love this, and I gave this a 5 out of 5 stars. Right? I want to say this 5 out of 5. Yeah. I'm just gonna say it's 5 out of 5. If it was like 4.5 out of 5, still, it's 5 out of 5. Next up, we have There's Something About Sweetie by Sania Manon. This is the companion to When Diplomat Rishi. You don't have to read from Twinkle with Love. So it goes from When Diplomat Rishi to There's Something About Sweetie to the novella As Kismet Would Have It. And if you knew from another recent reads that I did earlier in the month, I read As Kismet Would Have It before this book. I knew when reading it, it wasn't the next in the series. But I was like, it came out first, before this book. So it has to be next. No, it's number 3. I mean, really? It should have come out on the same day. That's how I feel. Like, it shouldn't have come out first. If it was supposed to be after this. That's how I feel. But, whatever. It's fine. Like, it doesn't really spoil too much. Just, kind of the ending. But, I mean, you knew it was coming. So we follow, Sweetie. Okay, so, let me think. So we follow Ashish, okay? Rishi's brother. And Ashish has just, broken up with his girlfriend. And, he is completely down. And he asked his parents to find, like, okay, so she's just very modern. He doesn't believe in the traditions of, like, Indian American, like Rishi does, like the Indian traditions that he should be upholding, or could be upholding, like Rishi does. So, like, all of his past girlfriends have been, like, Americans, just full Americans, and she's just kind of done with that for now. After what happened with his last girlfriend, he doesn't really want to date any more modern girls, or, American girls. Like, he doesn't really want to date at the moment, but he does ask his parents to find him an Indian American girl, to see what that would be like, you know. If they could find the perfect girl for Rishi, they could find the perfect girl for him then, right? So they end up going to Sweetie, and her parents, and Sweetie is fat, okay? And there's a lot of fat shaming in this book, which really upset me. But Ashish's parents don't. Well, Ashish's mom. I should just say it's all got to do with the moms, for that part. And Ashish's mom doesn't care. She thinks Sweetie would be perfect for Ashish because Ashish is in basketball and he's, like, really into stupid sports. And Sweetie is a runner and, she's in track and she really loves sports. So Ashish's mom thinks that they'll be perfect for each other. Sweetie's mom, on the other hand, doesn't. Because Sweetie is fat and Ashish is thin. That upset me. So Sweetie takes into her own hands to meet Ashish and just, try and date him secretly so her mom doesn't find out. Because, of course, his parents end up finding out and they have to go on these, like, series of dates. So his parents won't tell her mom or her parents. Like, they go to Pavan Mandir, which I believe is, like, an Indian temple, like, church. And then they go to the Holi festival, where they dump, like, paint over them, like, over each other. Like, that's what the paint is for. This is when they meet for the first time and they race. And then there's more from the Holi festival, more paint. And yeah, so you guys know how I feel about Burnt Diplomat Rishi. I love that book so much. You know how much I disliked From Twinkle with Love. I hated Twinkle so much. This book, I loved more than When Diplomat Rishi. Sweetie is my favorite. I love her. Even when she's being fat shamed, even when people are, like, saying things because of her weight and how she can't do things because of her weight, she doesn't, she's just like, I don't care. I'm fat, okay? I'm never gonna be thin. I'm never gonna lose the weight. And I don't want to. Like, I'm fat. Deal with it. I love her. I love her to pieces. I love her and Ashish so much. They are the fucking cutest thing in the world, and I love them. And if I didn't read this book would have been my favorite book of the month. So these are my, like, top 2 favorite books of the month. And I love them so freaking much. Oh my god. So good. Also, very funny. Like, very, like, our main characters can definitely make me laugh. And it's just amazing. And I'm so happy I read it. I was so scared to get Sweetie's book because of how I felt with From Twinkle with Love. I did not like that book. Okay, I really did not like that book. And it was all because I didn't like Twinkle. And I was really afraid of how I'd feel with that book. But I'm really glad I got it. I'm really glad I read it because I loved it. And it was amazing. And yeah, I mean, I'm just glad I read it. I'm so glad. Alright, the last 2 books that I read are the books I just finished yesterday. Okay, so first up we have Courting Darkness by Robin Lefevre. It says the wolves are always waiting. This is the first book in a new duology continuing on from the His Fair Assassin trilogy. like Grave Mercy, Dark Triumph, and Mortal Heart. I could not think of the second book to save my life, which is Sabella's story, which is funny. Because in this we mostly follow, well, okay, so in this we follow two main characters. We have two perspectives. We have Sabella from the His Fair Assassin trilogy, and we have her and the Duchess in the French court, and then we have Genevieve, who is another daughter of Mortain, who has already integrated herself into the French court like years ago, and she's been told to stay there until she gets called to come to action. I don't really know how that works, but it was her and another daughter of Mortain. And so yeah, like we follow Sabella and then we follow Genevieve. And I can't really talk much about it because it will spoil the first trilogy. Because this does just continue straight on from the very end of Mortal Heart. And I enjoyed it. Like, okay, so Grave Mercy and Dark Triumph were two of my favorite books in the series. Like, I think I gave them both 5 out of 5 stars. I absolutely love those books. Ismay and Sabella are two of my favorite characters. I read Mortal Heart, which is Aneth's story, and I liked it. I can't remember if I gave it 4 stars or 4.5 stars. I can't remember exactly what I rated it, but I remember feeling like I didn't love it as much. This is how I felt with that. And it wasn't, like, the story was fine, like, the plot was fine. It's the exact same, pretty much, like, well, it's Sabella and the Duchess in the French court, and them trying to, like, survive the French court. But I mean, following Sabella's parts were great. I love Sabella. I love all my characters. Like, they're all through, you know, Sabella's eyes. Like, you get to see all of them. But then you have Genevieve, who you don't know, and I really, really didn't like. Like, I just did not like her. I don't know what it was about her, but every time I got to every time I got to her chapters, I was just like, great, we're back with her. Can I just stay with Sabella, please? And I think this is the first time it has been a dual perspective. Like, if I remember correctly, the His Fair Assassin trilogy was just them. Like, it was Ismay, and then it was Sabella, and then it was Aneth. I don't think it switched perspectives, but this one does, and I didn't care for it. I just did. Like, I know, like, they're, you know, it's supposed to all meet up in the second book. Like, you're just supposed to get, like, an introduction to Genevieve, and then the second book, everything's gonna, like, come to play, and I know that, and I'm gonna get the second book, I'm gonna read it, and I mean, I didn't dislike this book in any means. I gave this 4 stars, and I did enjoy it, but I just didn't love Genevieve, and I didn't really care for her, you know, her chapters, or her character, or anything that was happening with her, so it was just, I mean, and it ends, you know, it, like, ends right away, and you're like, okay, great, where's the second book? I have to wait an entire year for the second book now. Okay. And then the last book that I finished was We Hunt the Flame by Hafsa Faisal. This is an Arabian-inspired novel. Actually, I think it's, yeah, it's inspired by ancient Arabia. And we follow Zafira, who disguises herself as a boy to go into the Ars, which is sort of like this magic forest, and she hunts there to bring food back, you know, to her family, to her people. She has to disguise herself as a boy because, you know, girls aren't allowed to do anything. Yeah. And then we follow Nasir, who is the Prince of Death. He is how do you say it? Hasashin, I think, which is an assassin. And he is the prince. And there is this contest, or not this contest, there's this quest to find this lost jewel that is supposed to bring magic, or it's called the Jarawat. I don't know. Is it a jewel? Is it a book? I don't know. But it's a quest to find this object to bring magic back to the land. And that's pretty much it. Well, Zafira goes on this quest to find this object, and Nasir ends up following her because he is tasked with killing her once she finds the object. He is an assassin. I really like this book. I will say there was a while that I felt that it was dragging a little, but it could have just been me because there's a lot of terms, like a lot of terminology that I just don't know, and like I don't speak Arabic. I wish I did because I love the language, like just from reading this, and I love novels that are based in like or inspired by Arabia or based in Arabia, and like I really did enjoy this, and I enjoyed the quest, but I did feel like I wasn't as immersed into the story as I wanted to be, because I feel that I didn't understand a lot of the terms, and I think upon a reread I would love this more. I still gave this 4 stars. I still absolutely liked it, or absolutely enjoyed it. But I feel like maybe on a reread I would love it more now that I sort of know what some things mean, and like, you know, I think upon a reread I might actually give this 5 stars. I don't know. But I am glad that I really enjoyed this, and I'm glad I gave it 4 stars. It was a May Book of the Month pick. So I'm 2 for 2 on May. Thank God. I liked both of my May book picks. Thank you. April sucked, but May was good. But yeah, 4 stars. I really loved this. If you were a fan of City of Brass, you might really like this. If you were a fan of Aladdin, you might really, you know, enjoy this. It's great. The romance in this, it's very hot and cold, but I liked it. I understood it, because once you once you realize who the romance is going to be based around, you're like, okay, yeah, it should be kind of hot and cold. It's good. I really liked it. 4 stars. But yeah, now I really want to reread this and like really immerse myself into it, but not now. Maybe a little bit later down the road. Maybe more when the sequel is coming, because there's definitely going to be a sequel. So those are all of the books that I read in the last couple weeks. There were a lot, like I said. And there were a lot of good ones. There were only 2 that I didn't enjoy out of the, out of the 8 that I fully read. There were only 2 that I didn't enjoy, which means there were 6 that were like 4 and 5-star reads, which was amazing. Okay, so like I said, I still have a couple of days left of May, and I mean, I am halfway through this book. I've been halfway through for over a month now, and I don't know, I might pick this up and I might just finish it. Like, I really should just finish it, and that's The Mister by E.L. James. I could just finish it for this month. I could save it for Smuttathon. I don't know if I'm joining in that, but I do have some smutty reads that I might want to read. And I mean, like I said, I'm still halfway through. I actually picked this up late last night, like right before bed, and I passed out while, like, even though I'm not enjoying the audiobook, like, at all, and I really don't like the audiobook, now that I'm, like, I got this far because of the audiobook, and now all I can do is picture, or, like, hear their voices while I'm reading it, and I'm just like, I'm gonna listen to the audiobook then, because it's the fastest way to read it, and right now I'm, like, that's all I'm hearing. Of course, once I started listening to it, I passed out, and I had to, like, backtrack all the way back. I was so upset. But it's fine. Like, I'm almost done with it. I could probably finish this tonight, if not tomorrow. We'll see if I do, or maybe I'll leave it for June. I don't know. But pretty much this is the rest of it, and my wrap-up will be coming soon. I probably will maybe film that tomorrow. Maybe. We'll see how I feel with everything. But yeah, that's it. That's everything that I've read today. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you again with another. Bye. Happy reading.